AnHourToKill here, and this is Heroes of the Storm. Now today I want to talk to you about this awesome new dude named Artanis, or Artanis. I still can't decide because it says it one way one place and one way another place, but I'm going to call him Artanis because it just sounds better, more regal, right? Okay, so this dude is apparently like some type of royalty for these here Tassadar race Protoss people. And this dude right here is basically what you would get if Zeratul and Sonya had a just salacious love child. This dude is a bruiser to the core so far, I've decided. And his abilities are just fun. Now we look at his abilities today. He's got this blade dash thing, right? And so this works a lot kind of like Vala's Vault. Except once he does it, he goes right back where he was. But the real kicker for this ability is it does damage. And so it does a little bit of damage, but if you talent it, the damage is just insane. I mean, think Skelly King Wave Clear up in this Zombish. Alright, his next ability is like his bread and butter god mode ability. This thing is called Twin Blades, and it makes his auto attacks hit twice. With a 4-second cooldown, which is ridiculously low. Also a low mana cost, so this thing is spammable as all hell. So, like if you build for auto attack damage and use this ability, you are wrecking face. This dude like works like an auto attack Sonya. It's great. His next ability, Phase Prism, is actually a really cool ability. Think Stitch's Hook with about half the range, about the speed of Brightwing's little AoE bomb ability, and this thing swaps his position and the position of the target that it hits. Now, that sounds kind of dumb if you think about like how many bad things I just said about it, but honestly, like if you pull off a really good shot with this, you can position somebody from the enemy team square in the middle of all your teams. So this is like a 5v1 situation, and that thing just goes insane. His next ability, Shield Overload, is pretty awesome. It's kind of a pretty neat passive. It causes his health, like it causes him to get a pretty sweet shield once he drops below 50% health. Now, that doesn't mean like he has to stay in that like margin between 50% health. As he is below 50% health when the cooldown goes off, the next attack that he takes will trigger it again and again. And if you notice the second sentence on this, your basic attacks lower the cooldown of Shield Overload by 4 seconds. And it's only a 20-second cooldown. This means, like, if you combine it with things like Twin Blade, this is a spammable shield, and it keeps you alive through you would not believe what. His ults are also really interesting, although they're like just insanely different. They kind of feel like something that Nova would cook up, except they're kind of baked differently, different clay. So Suppression Pulse works a lot like Nova's Orbital Strike ability. This thing brings down just this massive circle of AoE. It doesn't do very much damage, but it blinds the entire enemy team for 4 seconds, which, like, you can hit an entire team with this, even if they're mildly spread out. This ability has, like, won 2 team fights for me already, and this dude has only been out less than a day. His next ability, although not really one of my favorites, is really strong. This thing is called Purifier Beam, and what it does is it brings down just this like insane light, like laser beam frickin' thing from orbit, and this zombish follows people around the map. It follows one person, and the damage on this thing is just insane. Like if you look at it now, I don't know if you could read it from here, but like the level 1 damage, and this isn't like talking about max level stuff, the level 1 damage is 80 damage per second, and this beam follows for 8 seconds. So, I mean, calc that out. That's a pretty nice chunk of damage. That's somewhere in like the 640 range, I think. Bad at math. Don't judge me. Anyway, for his talents, he's got all this amazing stuff. And what really got me early on when looking at his talents is the tier 1 talent, Seasoned Marksman. Like, and I know a lot of people are like, tank shouldn't have Seasoned Marksman. This thing's horrible. No, this is amazing for Artanis. Like, if you combine it with his amazing charge abilities, boom, increases speed and range of his charge, boom, increases the damage of his charge, that allows you to stack Seasoned Marksman just insanely fast. Like, even if you're on your way to, say, a team fight in Garden of Terror, you see a lane that's really clumped up on the way, you can do boom, boom, quick charge on your way down, remount up. You wouldn't have lost almost any downtime. You got 2 or 3 stacks of that Seasoned Marksman. It's really good stuff. His other ability that I really like on his first tier talent is called Reactive Parry. And this is basically the block talent, except he doesn't get a passive block talent. He gets it every time he uses Twin Blades. So really, he can stack block way faster than any other champion because it still stacks to 2. But it basically goes up on a 4-second cooldown because the cooldown for his Twin Blades is 4 seconds. And that would stack really good with his shield abilities. And that just makes him a boss. So if we're going with that first build that I was talking about, boom, Seasoned Marksman, boom, lethal accuracy. Another good choice for the tier 7 talent would be follow through, because that 40% extra damage is just insane. Like, especially if you combine it with the Twin Blade Lunge, which we're going to talk about here in a second. But otherwise, if you're trying to stack Seasoned Marksman, I would definitely go with Solarite Reaper. Warp Sickness has been something that I've seen a lot of people picking recently, although I don't really care for it because it's really awesome when you actually hit someone with Phase Prism, which is his magical like swap places ability. But like I said, this thing is so slow. It's so painfully slow. So like it's going to take a lot of practice to be able to like figure out how to get enemies in range of this thing. So far, I haven't really hit any long range shots very much with this thing because I mean, other heroes can like see it moving towards them and just sidestep out of the way. It's ridiculous. As for the abilities, like I said, the suppression pulse thing is fantastic. It sounds so subpar until you use it. And that 4-second blind is amazing, especially in a team fight or even 1v1, because the cooldown really isn't that long for this type of ability. I believe it's 50 seconds. I'm not sure, it doesn't say here, but it's fantastic. As for the tier 13 talents, I'm really digging Triple Strike. It doesn't seem like it would be that much. It's just a 50% increased damage boost to your Twin Blades, basically, because it adds one more hit. But if you think about this, Twin Blades is buffing your auto attack, or is using your auto attack for this. So when you're buffing it with Seasoned Marksman, you got some fantastic damage going out with this thing. Now, the only problem at this point is movement. Sometimes it's just hard to get in position to hit somebody, especially with the more, kitey champions like Brightwing and with up against heroes who have a lot of CC. But that is where this ability comes in charge. Now, there's a lot of trap abilities on this, I believe. Like, Shield Surge sounds amazing, gives an extra 50% bonus to your shield. Titan Killer sounds really good, especially when you combine it with the, Triple Strike talent from the Tier 13, because it adds 2.5% damage to every hit, I believe it is. And Psionic Wound is really tasty looking because it gives them 25% vulnerability for 2 seconds, which is pretty nice. But what I really dig in this tier, it seems so underpowered compared to everything else until you start using it. It's the Zealot Charge. Now, the Zealot Charge causes your Twin Blades, the first attack after you use the ability, to charge at your opponent. and immediately use the attack. Now, that doesn't mean like, oh, you have to be in range to use it. No, you can have Zealot Charge active and not attack anything, and you'll have like kind of the Sergeant Hammer circle around you, and it's not like that big of a range, but it is very decent. I think it's like Kerrigan's leap range, but this thing is fantastic. Like, once you got some of the best things that I've seen, like that I've done with this, is in team fights where they've got a lot of CC and they're really kind of keeping you from, like, say, the Medic or Malfurion or Brightwing. This thing can let you charge straight over the enemy lines, do some serious damage, especially if combined with like the earlier talents that increase your auto attack damage, and be out of there again in 4 seconds by attacking one of the 4 other people. And that sounds like you wouldn't survive it, but really, when you combine it with things like your suppression pulse and your blade dash, because blade dash makes you really hard to target and hit during that like split second where you're moving. It's just fantastic. I think this hero is like shaping up to be the most mobile hero in the game. Not so much. Well, yeah, I think I've chased down an Illidan with this guy since he's been out, and I thought that was pretty snazzy because it's so hard to keep up with an Illidan. Now, as for the tier 20 talents, this is where I have some serious problems deciding. You can have the Orbital Bombardment, which gives you another charge on your fantastic blind AoE ult. However, there is a 10-second cooldown between uses, which is kind of a drag, but I guess it's fair because that means you can't keep someone blinded for 8 seconds, because I think that would be a little too overpowered. But, 10 seconds isn't a lot of time, so, I mean, if the team fight keeps going on, that's really nice to drop 2 of those in a row on top of a team fight. Purifier Beam doesn't really matter because, we're not using it. But this thing basically turns his Purifier Beam into Nova's triple tap. It means, like, if you kill somebody with the thing, boom, you can use it again. Oop, you kill someone else, boom, you can use it again. And this is really overpowered, especially if you can combine it with, like, a hero that can do something amazing like root or stun for a few seconds. Here's looking at you, Thrall and Uther. Force of Will is actually really nice too. Increases the shield overload's cooldown reduction for basic attacks up to 6 seconds. And I do believe that there was another one up here. Yep. That is very similar. And so, like, if you really want to go shield tanky, which really isn't what I'm talking about being Bruiser Artanis up in here. That thing is amazing, but it also can keep you alive, this talent, by combining it with the triple attack. But this is what I've really been going with lately. I'm turning this dude into full auto attack Sonya up in here. Nexus Blades. You can never go wrong with Nexus Blades. Now, it appears the slow is less effective, but 20% extra damage stacked on top of triple strike, stacked on top of seasoned marksman, and even throw in follow through if you want. Ooh, it's so tasty. You can burst 1k damage by level 20, and it is fantastic, especially on a 4-second cooldown, because you can just eat through heroes like it is nobody's business. So, yeah, this is what I think of Artanis. Awesome sauce. Remember, too long didn't listen. Seasoned marksman, lethal clarity, Solarite Reaper, suppression pulse, triple strike, zealot charge, Nexus Blades, and this is my awesome sauce key to win. Please like or leave comments in the video's comment section, and I'll be uploading a video of this build in action very soon. Thank you.